Hello and welcome to YTV. I'm here with Professor Robert Shiller. He is a professor of economics here at Yale University. He's a 2013 Nobel Prize Laureate. He recently received the Truman Medal for his work analyzing the U.S. housing prices and his contributions to economic policy and practice. So your father was an engineer and your wife is a psychologist. Have there been people in your life that have influenced your work?
Many people, of course. My father, I didn't go into engineering like my father, but I think I had some of his, he was an entrepreneur engineer. He created a company that, based on a patent he got for a kind of industrial oven. So it made me feel like I wanted to somehow devise devices that would change the world. My wife is a psychologist, and I'm sure that she influences me in many ways. The economics profession historically has been very attracted to the view that people are rational, self-interested. There's some validity to that, but I think it's often that people are psychological, and they may not be self-interested in the way that they can be idealistic, or they can be hateful. They can go in both directions.
You briefly mentioned bubbles, and I know the title of one of your books is Irrational Exuberance. Right. And in the first one, you alerted people to the tech bubble, and in the second one, you rose concerns about the housing market. Right. Do bubbles say anything about human optimism and how we view the world?
Bubbles are investments going viral. Yes, I mean, they are a particular kind of social epidemic that is built on greed, envy, and news media. News media like to report on bubbles because it attracts readers, and they have to. I wrote a book with George Akerlof called Fishing for Fools, The Economics of Manipulation and Deception. We emphasize that people in their jobs are forced to do things by economic necessity because it's competitive. Mm-hmm. You can't stay in a newspaper and write boring articles that nobody reads.
True.
So the news media love to talk about what happened in the market yesterday. I mean, it's really excessive. And that affects our minds. You can get your mind all cluttered up. So I actually prefer to read newspapers or online newspapers rather than watch the evening news because I'll be entrapped by the go viral story of today. And I've learned one thing: you can be a reasonable success in life and not pay attention to all this garbagey news.
Do you think we've become better at managing panic because of the mass amount of media that we receive, or have we gotten worse at it?
That's a difficult question. I think that we are making progress in understanding panics. I think that the 2008-2009 financial crisis could have turned into the Great Depression, but we have more enlightenment. We've been through that before, and the central bankers and government officials did some good things to prevent that from exploding into another depression. But that doesn't mean that we're immune, and I think we're still a society of people, not computer. I mean, computers are linking us, but it's still people who make decisions.
Behind the computers, definitely.
There's not many people who have turned on a computer to do program trading automatically, and they just walk away for a year and let it go.
Why do you teach? What do you get out of teaching?
I'll tell you one thing. I'm not doing it for the money. Absolutely not. So why am I? I think we're all social animals, and it's partly just the pleasure in talking and being heard. But I like to bring the students. I wish teaching were more interactive. Maybe it's because I have big classes typically. So it's nice to interact with people. That's what life is all about. And then there's a moral dimension. You know, I mean, I like to think I'm a useful person.
If you had to say something to Yale students just starting their careers, what advice would you give them?
Well, I do that a lot, so I don't know where to begin. I like to give advice. Well, I don't know what to say. I'll give what comes to mind.
Sure.
Is that I think young people, they have both an idealistic side and a cynical reality side. I think they should temper their cynical reality side because I think they exaggerate the economic benefit of following the trends and don't appreciate enough how having ideals and preserving them and demonstrating them at various times in your life can actually lead you even to more economic success.
Mm-hmm. This concludes our interview. Professor Shiller, thank you for having us today. For all of you watching YTV, thank you, and see you later.
If there's any good that can come out of a Trump presidency, it's getting people to look for a way of life. He's the most exaggerated example of a market economy